Welcome to Access Granted, the podcast where we explore stories of accessibility, opportunity, and the people helping to build a more inclusive world. I'm your host, Mike Iannelli. Today I'm joined by Sam Seavey, better known as The Blind Life, whose work has inspired thousands through his passion for assistive technology and accessibility. In this episode, we'll talk about Sam's journey with vision loss, the community he's built online, and how technology can create more independence, confidence, and opportunity. First, let's just kick it off with, I just love an introduction. So just tell me, Sam, a little bit about yourself. It's Seavey, right?
Seavey, yeah,
Seavey.
like a letter C and a letter V, which I was an adult before I realized that the C and the V are actually right next to each other on the keyboard. And that like blew my mind for some reason. I was like, hey, it's like meant to be. A double rainbow.
We're going to get along way too well if this is how you're starting. I love it, man.
Yeah.
So where are you from originally?
I'm actually from here, from Raleigh, North Carolina. I've lived here up until I was about 18 and then moved away to seek greener pastures.
Are they greener?
Well, they're bluer. I'm in Kentucky now, so
Okay.
it's bluegrass.
I love Kentucky, man.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in Lexington. Have you done the Bourbon Trail and all that stuff?
I have not. So I'm actually in Lexington. That's where I live. I've been there longer than I have not been there at this point, and I've never done the Bourbon Trail. I'm not a bourbon guy, though. That's probably why.
I wasn't either until I went, and then I had a few years of bad stuff happen, so maybe you shouldn't go.
It's started a dark path for you. No, but it's funny. My father-in-law, a couple years ago, he was recently divorced, and he was moving down. He's from Indianapolis. He was moving down to Florida, and he's like, do you mind if I stay with you guys for a little while, just 2-3 months? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. It ended up being a year and a half, but while he was there, he did the entire Bourbon Trail.
So when I went, and I'll tell you just a quick story. A buddy of mine called me one day and he said, hey, I'm turning 40. I didn't know him super well, but it was a friend of a friend at the time. We became very close since then, but he said, I'm going to go to the Bourbon Trail. We've got a wine sommelier guy going, and there's this other guy. There's 4 of us. We're going to cram into a, what is this little thing, a Prius?
Oh, yeah.
And head down. And I'm like, when you get an RV, call me back. So he calls up, says, I got a 35-foot RV. 4 of us went down. It was a blizzard. I don't remember what year it was, but we drove down in the blizzard to Kentucky, man. We drove straight through the night, and we stopped at Maker's Mark was the first run. And I got to tell you, man, that was one of the most beautiful trips I ever had.
Yeah.
The mountainsides in Lexington, the natural rivers running through, the horse everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I had an opportunity to go work with Valvoline there years ago. I don't regret it because I'm here today, but I wanted to move to Lexington, so I just always felt connected there. That's amazing. How long have you been there?
Well, it was 96, so quite a while. And it's very similar to Raleigh because it's a college town, University of Kentucky. People are super, super friendly and, you know, that Southern hospitality. So,
Yeah, I love getting off the plane there, man, and all those beautiful fields. Like,
the
horse farm.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like so calming when you get off an airplane. You know, it's just, anyway. So thanks for being here, by the way. It's, for those that don't know, Sam's been very helpful in a partnership that we have. We joined his podcast, and we're doing some cool stuff, and we're going to figure out some really cool stuff in the future. But big fan of what you do, Sam, for the community, and your YouTube channel is amazing. We'll get into that a little bit. But before, I really do want to talk about why you're here, because you were just shooting the breeze. You're like, I lived here. You said you were born here. Why is this trip so special? Because I didn't realize it feels special to me.
So I got invited to speak at a conference in Virginia, the Virginia AER conference, which was in Danville, Virginia. And they said, there's no airport in Danville, so you either have to fly into Greensboro or Raleigh. I was like, oh, I'm going to fly into Raleigh, and then maybe I can just stay a little later, extra, and do some sightseeing, because I haven't been here in 30 years.
That
Raleigh.
long?
Yeah, and everybody I talk to talks about how much it's changed in that time, and Durham and Cary and everything is just blown up, and it's crazy. I moved away my freshman year of high school, so I didn't have that core
Group of folks.
Well,
boys.
yeah, like that high school experience.
Yeah.
Because when I moved away, I moved up north, and then we actually moved back to Rocky Mount after that.
What was north? Hold on, where's north?
Maryland.
Okay.
Bel Air, Maryland.
Okay.
Not the cool Bel Air like everybody talks about.
Wait, hold on. What's that show? Fresh Prince?
Fresh Prince of Yeah. It wasn't that kind of Bel Air.
No.
It was nice, but yeah, we weren't living like that. But that started 4 years of a different high school every year, culminating with graduating from the Governor Moorhead School for the Blind here in Raleigh. So it came full circle. So I never had that core high school experience that a lot of people do. Those pivotal moments in your life or memories and all that. My middle school was actually that for me. The middle school that I attended here in Raleigh, I reached out to them and I said, hey, random, super weird. I don't know if you guys do this, but I'm going to be in Raleigh in like 6 months. Could I do a tour of the school? And they said, yeah, they were super excited. So I'm doing that later today.
They know who you are from middle school?
No.
Okay, so not know who you are, like, but they
I don't know if you know who I am, but
no, yeah, I get backstage.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Now, do they remember you at all? Are any teachers there? Like, you remember or anything?
That. People have asked, do you think any of your teachers will be there? And like, oh gosh, it's been almost 40 years since I was there, so I doubt there's anybody still there that was there when I was there. Maybe, I don't know.
And when you're younger, you look at teachers and they're so much older than you, right? You're like, they're probably 150 now, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even know their names. I don't remember any of them, unfortunately.
So what's the walk? Sorry, what's the walk down memory lane though? But you don't know any of the teachers, and you're going to see any old students and friends?
No.
You're just going for a tour. So why?
I'm just going because a lot of stuff happened in my life at that school around that time, and I'm also going to go walk around my old neighborhood, see my old house.
I love that, man.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that lives in the neighborhood. I'm just going to take a lift there and like drop me off anywhere. I'm just going to spend a couple hours walking around because I was at that house, I was at that school when I was diagnosed with my vision impairment at age 11, age 12. And that school was the first time I ever had a TVI. That was really the first experiences of, and I'm sure listeners and people in the room could probably even relate to feeling different than everybody else because all of a sudden you're the blind kid and you're different than everybody else. And you're sitting in the front row with the large print books and the monocular. And so a lot of feelings were felt at that school.
Is this like a little closure for you?
It might be. I told my wife, I was like, is this a midlife crisis?
No, it's great though. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. I do these things, man.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing for closure. Tattoos is one of the things I do, unfortunately, for closure.
I've got several of those myself.
Yep, the same. But each chapter, right?
Are we getting a tattoo later today?
Dude, I was going to say early, if you stay, I'll take you around in the neighborhoods. I got nothing going on this afternoon, but you might have a little bit of a delay, so you can figure that out. And I would totally go get a tattoo, man. Like, I'm dead serious. So if you want to do that, we'll figure that out. But it seems like it's a big deal in your life, right?
It was,
and now you're back. So you're back after 30 years, it's been?
30 years, yeah.
Are the emotions churning a little bit?
They'll probably hit me when I'm walking around, and I was even thinking, do I need like some kind of nostalgic playlist that I could listen to as I'm walking around that neighborhood?
Oh, you're going to cry a lot, dude.
I know. Well, and then I'm going to be vlogging the whole thing. And so if you guys are watching this in the future, check my channel because the video have been out.
Now, your family, are they still here? Do you have any brothers or sisters?
No. Both parents, unfortunately, are gone now.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, and my sister, who also has Stargardts, we moved away from North Carolina. We moved to Kentucky. It was just my sister and I were following my dad out there and just to see something new part of the country. And then about a year later, my dad moved down to Florida, left his 2 blind kids, his poor blind kids, all alone, faced the big bad world. And then
in Lexington.
In Lexington, yeah. And then as adults too. We weren't like infants or anything. And then about a year after that, she moved down to Alabama and left me all by myself.
So what's all by yourself? But now, are you married with kids?
I am, yeah. So that's the other reason why I'm kind of still in Lexington is we've got pretty deep roots at this point. Married with 2 kids, yeah.
Well, the boys or girls?
I've got a son and a daughter. My son is, believe it or not, 28.
You have a 28-year-old
I know,
son. I'm thinking you're like going to say 7 or 8.
No,
literally 28.
I'm much older than I seem.
Yeah, well, I have a gray beard. Your beard's. Are you dying that? You're
We're
not
going to talk about that.
You should talk. Yeah, I think you need to talk about. I think it's time to be vulnerable in front of your audience.
I'll tell you my secret, but it's just for men. Boom. Can we put in a sound effect right there? I'll tell you my secret, but it's just for men.
To not just do that. That was good, man.
Thank you.
John didn't tell you this, but I think I'm going to let it grow until I get back from my trip. When I get back, it should be about that length, maybe longer. Like 3 months from
beards, man. It's a good
Dude,
look.
it's a thing, bro.
Yeah.
We got our own little community, man.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
That's the thing. There's too many bald guys in here. I'm intimidated. Usually I'm the only bald guy in the room.
You feel like you're the best in the room.
I know.
Like, yeah. And then back in the day when you're losing your hair, it was like a bad thing. You're like, oh, that's embarrassing. Oh my God, you're never.
Yeah.
And now it's like, dude, come on. All right, so I do want to go back real quick. This is like a roller coaster ride when you're with me, brother. So hang on.
No worries.
The part of your childhood and the closure, you were talking about like, man, being the oddball out. Like, oh my God. Like, so what was your life like as a kid before, and then how did you start to know you were having challenges with your vision?
Obviously, normal childhood like everyone else. Then my sister, who is 3 years older than me, She was diagnosed first. We have Stargardts.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just interrupt you.
Yeah, yeah.
Explain what that
So
it's like.
Stargardts, for anyone that's not aware of it, it's a juvenile form of macular degeneration, and it's a inherited retinal condition. It's a recessive condition. So, two parents carry the recessive gene, and then they come together and magic happens. And even though there's still only a 1 in 4 chance that that gene will become dominant in the child. So for both of us to manifest is not necessarily as common because we're the only 2 kids. So, but we both have it. She was diagnosed first. And so they thought, because, of what it is, they're like, we should keep an eye on Sam.
So your whole childhood is here. Like, really?
It is, yeah, yeah.
And so it's kind of a big deal that you're here.
Yeah.
So what does the schedule look like today? Tell me a little bit about your schedule today. You said earlier you want to go to the house, but like, are you doing lunch? You're going to grab a coffee? Like, are you going to make this like a full day?
It is going to be a full day. We're wrapping up here at some point, and then
We're going to be here for all day. You're not leaving.
No worries. Yeah, I'm going to go right over there afterwards to the neighborhood and walk around. And then I've got a time at the school this afternoon that I'm meeting. And then I'm doing dinner later with Heather.
Oh, that would be great. Heather Buster, right? He's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I got to go down this path a little bit more. Are you anxious about this? How are you feeling emotionally when you're getting ready to go into this? Because that's a big deal. You're 9 years old, 10 years old.
Yeah.
But you kind of knew if your sister's 3 years older, so she was diagnosed, so you knew there's a chance potentially could happen.
I've always been kind of an oblivious kid, just in my own world. If it wasn't happening outside of my little bubble, it didn't really matter to me.
Yeah, fair.
As most kids are,
Yeah, true.
So I don't even remember much. I remember the actual testing at the doctor's office. I remember being scared and not understanding what was happening, really. Because this was 80s, right? The doctors didn't explain anything to the kids. They barely explained it to the parents at that point. They were just like, shut up, kid, get in there and do this. Yeah,
mate.
Yeah, with a cigar in their mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Hey, is it the 2-finger roll?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're 10 years old, you're being diagnosed. What was your vision doing? Like, what was changing?
Well, I imagine, same thing. I don't really recall, but I imagine most of us with some type of retinal condition, there's early warning signs. There's distortion in your central vision. So probably trying to read the chalkboard and some letters being wobbly or maybe even disappearing, maybe noticing some difference in low light situations at night. Those are common early signs for retinal conditions. So I imagine it was something like that. It might have even been one of those annual eye tests they do in the cafeteria at school.
Yeah.
Maybe something popped up there. We ended up being at the doctors getting the tests. And I remember there's one test where they put dye into your eye and then so they can look at it. And they put these contacts in your eye so that it can magnify the back of your eye. And you have to sit in the dark and wait for this to kind of take effect and the dilation and all that. And I can remember sitting in this doctor's office alone in the dark with these contacts in my eyes. And I distinctly remember that these lenses were so thick that I couldn't even close my eyes. I couldn't blink because they were so thick. And in my 10, 11-year-old brain, I thought, well, surely if they're in there and they're not popping out, they must have glued them into my eyes. And I can remember this gritty feeling in my eye thinking that's the glue. Once again, being scared and not understanding and why can't I close my eyes and all of this. And later on though, as an adult, I was presenting at the Ohio State University and the room was full of doctors and professors and stuff. And one of them's like shaking her head and she's like, no, they don't glue those in. She's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. They don't glue them in. I'm like, are you sure? Because I distinctly remember glue. But, it just the fear of the unknown, what's happening to me. I don't understand it.
So sports weren't a thing, I'm assuming, or did you play sports growing up?
I tried. I was never a big sports person. I rode my bike and skateboard and all that. But in school, and then after this, obviously, and I'm sure people in here also can relate to this, the anxiety of getting picked in gym to play kickball or baseball or something. And like, don't pick me because I'm going to miss the ball or, I'm not going to be able to do it. And having to sit out gym because you couldn't do it.
What was that like?
It's rough, man. It's rough being visually impaired in school. I talk about all of this in my keynote presentation, which I just did like 2 days ago. I talk about how outside of school, I was fine. I was like all the other kids on my bike, riding my skateboard, swimming, building forts. I was just a normal kid. But in school, it was much more difficult to hide the blindness and the vision impairment. And like all of us, we wanted to hide it. We wanted to mask and try to pretend like we're like everybody else. Once again, They're putting you in that front row of the classroom. Sometimes they would even push my desk up to the chalkboard to get me as close as I could be to the board. I mean, the teacher's standing right next to me writing on the board. The only thing that it didn't help me. The only thing it did is it further segregated me from the people behind me and separated me from them and made me more of an outcast.
That's right.
And yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
Oh, yeah.
People don't want to hear that, especially parents. I've told this story to parents. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was rough.
Shouldn't.
You know, this was the reality. Now, I've always been a glasses half full kind of guy, and I don't know if you can tell, but a little bit of the class clown, and sarcasm is my love language.
A little bit.
Yeah. So I tried to not let it bother me, and I tried to laugh through it and joke through it and all of that, but, it did.
I know John has gone through a lot. I mean, so I'm just wondering from your perspective, have you sort of healed from that? Have you come to, obviously you're doing great now. You're married. I can't believe you said you have a 20-year-old. I want to get back to that. You look like you're 20.
And my daughter's 20. I should have mentioned that.
That's incredible. So, but obviously that's a journey, right, that you have to go through. So looking back now and saying, man, I've got this great show. I'm super well respected in the community, and you're always talking to people and helping people, and I'm so grateful you're here for that. But at the same time, you've got to go through a personal journey yourself to kind of accept that and embrace that, and then a lot of pain and healing.
Now, I am a child of the 80s, Generation X, so we push it all down until it finally explodes sometime. No, but
I'm a Gen Xer, bro. Wait, you can't. Well, I can't ask you your age right now.
I'm 50.
So, dude, bro, so am I.
Yeah,
just 50. Dude, when did you turn 50?
October 24th.
Oh, dude, I knew I liked you, brother. Yeah. Bald, beard, and 50, man. The Gen Xers rock, dude.
It is the best generation. I'm sorry, but it is. It really is.
You're talking skateboarding, dude, and just hanging out in the parks, running around the woods.
I had a Boney Tony sticker on my Tony Hawk sticker on my
my friend had a Tony Hawk skateboard, and I remember seeing it because I wasn't allowed near it.
Yeah.
But and my brother had a Vision Gator. Remember those? The Visions?
And
the artistic work on the skateboards were incredible. And Tony Hawk, just growing up at that generation, the music, man, the hair bands. Come on, how funny, ironic is this? The hair bands. So, who was your band?
Metallica.
Why did I even ask? It's so obvious.
Yeah. One of my first concerts was a Metallica. When I turned 18, actually, my first one was Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, wait, hold on. Can we strike that?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Don't talk about that.
I was taken to that concert. That wasn't a choice. And Whitney Houston, I think, was on that same card.
You saw Whitney Houston?
I think it was Olivia and Whitney. It was down in Florida. Yeah.
Wow. See, I would have loved to have seen Whitney.
But Metallica was one of my first, I wanted to go to Metallica. It was awesome. To kind of expand on that, what we were talking about before, that a lot of dealing with that stuff does come with acceptance. I was probably in my early 30s before I fully accepted that I'm visually impaired. It's like an AA move. My name is Sam. I'm blind. I'm visually impaired. And accepting that that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't make me less than the person standing next to me. For so many years, I put all of my self-worth, I tied it all into these tiny little pieces of tissue in the back of my eye that didn't work properly. I thought that was my entire being, and my whole self-worth in this world was my vision impairment and what made me different and separated me from everyone else. And once I finally realized that, that's ridiculous. That's the dumbest thing ever. And I'm no different, and I'm actually better than this guy next to me at some things. He's better than me at some things, and that's okay.
Yeah.
A weight was lifted off. I let go of all of that childhood trauma and everything, and realized that my role in life, my goal is to help others in that situation.
I love it. I love helping. I do, because I love the sarcasm, but I also have a tendency of getting deep and emotional. I don't know why. I'm not trying to make this about me, but I get it, right? The healing, but you healed at 30, you said.
Yeah, it was probably in my early 30s. It was really the tough love of my now wife as we were dating. And so we would be out to eat, and I'd have the menu, and I have my magnifier. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, nobody's looking in my direction. And I'd look at my menu with my magnifier real quick, read a couple lines. I put it down. Okay, we're cool. Nobody saw that. All right, we're good. Do it again. And
that didn't last very long. There's no way.
She's like, what are you doing? You're being ridiculous. Knock it off. And so that tough love, and I'm like, you know what? I am being ridiculous. It's so exhausting trying to pretend to be something that you're not. Oh, and then it's so liberating when you finally just be yourself.
That's a beautiful thing, man. I love hearing that for you. So when we talked last week or 2 weeks ago, or actually it might have been multiple times, and you're like, I'm traveling,
Yeah.
I'm on the road, I've got this conference and speaking here. It's like you're slammed. So I want to slam Sam. All right, I want to hear
Garbage pail kid.
Yeah, and this is good. I love those things, man.
Yeah, me too. I still have all of
Do
mine.
you really?
Yeah, in a binder.
My God. Oh my God.
I can't see them anymore, but I still have them.
Oh my God, this got to be
I
worse.
should have brought them. That
Dude,
would have been the
love
true
garbage
nostalgia.
pail. That was creative, man.
Oh,
Whoever
was-
created, they were
yeah,
so creative,
yeah, so good.
gory too, a little bit,
Yeah.
creepy in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
but very cool. So your world has evolved into this. I want to know about the Blind Life podcast too. For those of you who don't know, Sam is you're the host and the creator of this great podcast. Before we get into like the end result, I want to hear about like where did that start? Like what was the trigger?
You know, the YouTube came long before the podcast. In my 20s, I worked through restaurants and stuff like that. And as most people can relate with low vision, especially a progressive vision loss like I have, eventually you get to the point where you can't do said job anymore for whatever reason. This was also before I was really an advocate and, advocating for accommodations and that sort of thing. I didn't have any kind of assistive technology or anything like that. Once it got to that point where I couldn't do it anymore, I was just like, well, I guess we're going to find something else to do. Long story short, I ended up working for a company out of Texas making videos on YouTube for their channel. It was called Mobile Tech Videos 2. I made videos about Android systems, Android phones, tablets, teaching people how to quote unquote hack their Android.
How did you even get into something like that?
I've always had a love for technology, and I've been using assistive technology since I was a kid. And so when smartphones kind of became a thing, and I got my first Android, I was like, what can I do? How can it's that Gen X mentality. We're never satisfied.
Yeah.
We want to, how can we make it better?
Yeah, we didn't have fidget spinners, bro.
No. So we had to figure out other ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't tell you how many times I rearranged my bedroom growing up because I was
love
never
that.
happy with it.
No, and the closets. I spent
Yeah.
hours redoing my closet.
So I applied for this job. This guy was looking for someone to make the videos. And I've always had the mentality of, well, I'm going to figure out a way that I can do it. I can make it work with my vision loss. And so I applied for the job, got the job. And so I started making videos for him. And it was awesome. He would send me the latest Android phone or tablet at the time, and I would get to make some videos and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. This was 2010. During this time, every now and then I would make a video about some type of accessible app or how to make the text on your Android larger, bearing in mind that nobody knew I was visually impaired on these videos. I never mentioned it. I didn't talk about it. That's not what it was about. When I would make those videos, though, the community would come out and be like, oh, this is awesome. I have a hard time seeing my phone. Thank you so much. What else can it do? And so that really got me thinking that, oh, maybe there's a need for this on YouTube, because YouTube was still relatively new in 2010, 2011. So one day, 2013, I was wrapping up working with this company. I knew I wasn't going to be doing it much longer. So I decided, well, let me look on YouTube for Stargardt's disease. Let me just search for Stargardt's disease. And at the time, there wasn't much on there. There were some doctors talking about it. But I was really looking for real life, people living with it and hearing their stories of how they're coping and that sort of thing. And there wasn't anything on there. So I thought, you know what? I've been making videos for a couple of years now. I know how to do it. I've got the equipment. I should just start my own channel. At the time, it was called The Blind Spot was created. Over time, it really seemed to be picking up and getting more traction and more attention. And so at some point along the way, I decided to kind of buckle down and see where we could take it and get on a schedule. And 2016, I started working as an assistive technology specialist at a low vision center, running an AT program. And that's really where the channel turned to mostly being about assistive technology.
Are you a Droid user or you have an iPhone?
I'm both. I'm an AT specialist, so I have to know how to use all the stuff. So I carry a Samsung Android phone, I carry an iPhone, I have a Mac, I have a Windows computer.
Okay.
But I love Android. I see the benefit in both.
I think Android's better, truthfully. To me, they get you, right? Like I had the first iPhone that ever came out. I remember this. It was the coolest little thing ever. And we built this cool app for it. Do you remember Parquet, the butter thing?
Yeah.
This agency I worked, we created this, the first voice response app for the iPhone. So if you were sitting here and I said butter, the phone would open up and it was this 3D that would say Parquet. It was cheesy, but we were in like one of these cool magazines. Yeah, butter. Yeah, butter. Parquet. Yeah, anyway, you guys, you know that. You know what that is. So all of a sudden you start doing this and bam, like it matters, right? People are like, this is incredible. Like you're getting feedback. Like what is that like? Like
feels great. I mean, humans, and you know this with what you guys are doing, we enjoy helping people. Unless you're a horrible person, you get gratification from helping others.
True.
And so the more, that I would hear from people through emails and comments of how helpful the videos have been, that encouraged me to make more and keep at it. Anybody that takes a swing at a full-time gig on YouTube knows how much work it is. It is a full-time job. You have to be dedicated in order to stick with it. And I've been doing it now for 13 years.
Wow, good for you.
It's crazy. But I think also, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, I think that was my therapy. Like, I would hear from them and it's like, okay, I am helping. What I'm doing matters. Not trying to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but it made me feel good that I was able to help others, and it made me want to keep doing that.
Yeah, because you're a good person, and there's nothing wrong. Well, yeah, I can see a little bit, but we shouldn't go out for drinks one night. But,
I know.
But the truth of the matter is, yeah, I mean, it does matter what you do. It matters having purpose. I mean, as especially as well for all of us, but as a growing up in the '80s as a man, like I don't know about your childhood, but you had expectations. And it wasn't easy. And so when you feel that you're not appreciated and you're not valued as a man, and again, as any person, but whatever, you get the point.
Yeah.
That's devastating when you find it and that you realize that you're doing good. And because that's what it's all about, man. It really is. Like, I mean, I spent a lot of time in my life being a total toolbox, man. And when you find that peace and that acceptance, man, like that's when life begins, man.
It also goes to the fact that blindness is extremely isolating, both emotionally, both physically. We can't drive. I'm in Kentucky where a lot of people are rural and they can't just call an Uber to take them to the mall. They're stuck. They also, much like me, other than my sister, I didn't meet another blind kid until I was in high school. So they don't know anybody else who's like them. And so hearing that, I didn't know anybody else had Stargardts out there. It's so cool to see someone else with Stargardts, and that connection really also kind of drove me forward.
Man, that's just such a great story. I'm so glad to hear that you found your path.
Yeah.
What's the most rewarding thing about having this channel, growing this channel? But to the other side of what you said, it's like it matters. Like this is meaningful. This is my purpose. This is what I do now.
Yeah.
Like, what's the most rewarding thing? And then I want to hear one of the most challenging things.
Yeah, I mean, working with the community and helping people is definitely the most rewarding. I said that I started running the AT program at the nonprofit. I still work there today in 2016, but in 2018, I left to help a European company launch a product in the US and Canada. And I was the product manager for all of US and Canada. Did that for about a year and a half. And in that time, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I do not want to be a salesman, but I also learned that I really missed working with clients. And so I went back to the nonprofit because I missed helping the people, missed sitting there one-on-one with them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my clients, I work a lot with seniors, and they come in, they're new to vision loss. They're losing vision later in life. They're going through the grieving stages of grief because they've lost something. And they think that their life is over. They're never going to be able to do the things they used to be able to do. They love to sew and all this kind of stuff, and they can't do that anymore. And I say, no, you can absolutely do that. We just have to teach you this new way to do it. And after that first appointment with me, their attitude has completely changed. They're smiling, they're optimistic about the future, and they're excited. And it's, I've had people cry in my office, and it's like, that's it. That's why we do it, man. That's why we keep doing it.
So you're still doing that now?
Yeah. I still run that. I work 2 days in the office with clients, and then the other 7 dadays a week I work doing YouTube, the podcast, and TikTok and Instagram. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So some of the challenges.
Challenges is just the logistics kind of stuff with creating content on a very visual platform as a non-visual person. I'm not totally blind. I'm low vision. I'm way past legally blind. So I have to rely on my adaptive equipment, my accessibility on my computer. I use a big 43-inch 4K monitor, and it's about 8 inches away from my face, and I'm zoomed in about 600 to 900%. Wow. I'm using a lot of audio cues, purposely record in a certain way that I can edit by audio. I have amazing equipment. Shout out to Sony for their accessible cameras. with the screen readers. I could not do my job
earlier.
without.
How amazing is that?
Yeah. Super big fan of Sony and their dedication to making their products accessible.
That's fantastic. So, man, that sounds overwhelming, everything you just said. And if you said to me today, go start my channel, I would be so overwhelmed with that.
My whole philosophy when I'm working with clients is it is overwhelming. Everything is overwhelming. If you try to look at the macro, let's just try to solve this one problem. What's this one frustration? Let's find a solution for that, and then we can move to the next solution, the next frustration, and we can build on that.
Well, it's living one day at a time, but enjoying one moment at a time, because it's such a big elephant to take on. You're right. It's so many. Your brain can only literally handle so many things. And so, very important note. Sam has 92 followers on LinkedIn. So
I'm terrible on LinkedIn.
I'm just saying.
I need to take some advice.
I'm just saying, bro. I've got like way more than you, man. How's that feel?
That's because I don't do anything on LinkedIn.
Oh, you couldn't just pay me a compliment, bro. You got. I was looking on there. I was like, wait. So I didn't know all the things that you were doing. So that is incredible. Love that. And then, so do you ever take a day off?
No, and it drives my wife crazy. I've always been a very creative person. People are going to laugh at this, but when I was in middle school, actually at this school I'm going to today, and then through high school, I really thought I was going to go into comic book art as a profession, because I'm one of those that you want me to draw Superman fighting the Hulk. Yeah, I can bang that out, no problem. And it's dynamic and rippling muscles and veins in the arm.
Can you draw right now?
I can. If I can do it big, I can still do it.
I would love for you to draw something for me. I went to school, in middle school, in shop class with a kid who was super artistic, and I would be in there cutting wood, and he was in the corner just drawing. And I looked down one day, and it was unreal. Like, it was unreal. I couldn't believe, like, he was creating these characters that look like in 3D, like these professional people are doing.
Yeah.
It's a God-given gift to be able to do that. So I would be honored, seriously, if you would do one for me. I'd hang it in my house.
You have a whiteboard? I'm great on a whiteboard.
I have an idea. Maybe even a tattoo, actually. Maybe even design a tattoo.
Oh, maybe.
All right. We'll get back into that. So,
but because of that lended itself really well into creating videos and creating podcasts and all of that, TikToks and stuff, because I've always had a creative side to me, and I've always had that need to get that creativity out, much to the detriment, though. Like I said, my wife, she's like, you never stop. Because if I'm not doing something, if I have, like, it's a Sunday afternoon, I'm like, I could really be editing right now. You know, it's like I'm never like, idle hands, right?
You got to find that. Do you meditate?
No, I don't. I'm not really a spiritual type person, but I'm always like, there's something I could be doing rather than just not doing anything or watching a movie. I'm always like, there's probably emails I should be doing right now. And she's like, oh gosh, she's like, you do not get paid enough for all the work you do. And I'm like, that's okay. We're building, right? That's how it's supposed to be when you're building.
So speaking of building, you were working with these great companies like Google and Apple and Microsoft and Sony. And so what's that like? I mean, talk about a little bit about these relationships and how you got into these partnerships.
It just organically over the years, once I kind of became known as the assistive technology expert, these opportunities just kind of started falling into place. And a lot of it too, people said, how do you work with these big companies and do they contact you? And like, sometimes, but sometimes I'll go on the website and scroll all the way to the bottom and find the contact us button and click on it and just cold call and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'd love to work with you guys. And you'd be surprised how much that works. It was super intimidating at first, but then after you do it a couple times, and you can probably relate to this, you realize that we're all just people.
We are all just people.
I've got a great friend, Matt Filipinko, who works at Microsoft. And I'm like, dude, that's so awesome working at Microsoft. Or my friend Eldine that works at Sony. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. But then the more you get to know him, you're like, you're just a regular dude. And I should not be intimidated by you. You're an awesome guy, and I love that about you. But I shouldn't intimidate me. I should have no fear coming up and hey, my name's Sam. I want to be your friend, and I want to work with you.
That's such a good point. I've met some people, some cool people, and I still get a little nervous about it before. But at the same time, because you want to make sure that people listening have a great experience. But you're absolutely right. Everyone is just a person trying to get through this crazy thing called life, man. And we all have this like outer shell that's like this defensive shell, like we can't let people in because we're probably afraid, right? Or there's being rejected, all the things. We all have it. But when you recognize that, like, some of the greatest people that I know that are, maybe they have millions of dollars, maybe they have multiple houses, maybe all the material things, whatever. And then maybe even the personal things. It's like at the end of the day, you can aspire to be that or want to emulate, spend time with those people to emulate your life after. But to look at them and compare and try to put yourself behind someone else without even knowing their story, like, to me, that's selfish, right? At the end of the day, everybody struggles. they're all just human beings, man. So
Yeah, we get kind of, no pun intended, we get blinded by, who they are and that sort of thing. Every year at the CSUN conference out in LA, which was just like 3 weeks ago, Stevie Wonder comes out. And
I'm jealous.
he walks around and he does all the stuff. I've met him several times. I did a demo for him a couple of years ago. The nicest guy. You would think, oh my gosh, I can't go up and ask for a picture or something or call him Mr. Wonder. And he's like, no, call me Stevie. He's the nicest guy. He loves taking photos with everybody. So it just further to the point that they're just normal people.
I love Stevie Wonder, man. Kim, our director of accessibility, amongst other things, she got to meet him one time too. But I didn't know he was at CSUN, so that's cool. So every year John says we're never going, but next year
it's fun.
I think we might have to go.
Yeah.
John always tells me, I shouldn't say this, but he just says, look, this is a big thing out there. Because when we first started in accessibility, I was like, oh, we're the only ones doing this. Yes, I didn't know anything about this when we started it. So I just met John, and I'm not going to get into the story, but it was a special moment, all those things, and now we're here. But he's like, you have no idea, man. Like, this is massive.
Yeah.
I don't want it to intimidate you because for what I do every day, it's like I don't need to see that. Like, holy cow, because there's thousands of people doing the job that I do.
Yeah.
At these massive companies. Like, if I thought about that would be so intimidating to me and overwhelming. Like, how are we doing what we're doing right now?
Yeah.
So I haven't gone, but I think it might be a nice experience. So maybe next year we'll figure that out.
I think that was one of the first things I said to you guys when I first met you. I was like, you need to go out there and represent.
Which is great. So, I mean, God, working with these companies is amazing. So I want to hear a little bit about, we talk about accessibility, but you said earlier, I'm known internationally as this guy to go to. So that's like carrying two sides, right? Carrying this badge, but also there's some pressure to make sure that you're up to speed with everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what's that like?
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. I try to stay up to date with all the latest technology. Luckily, because I have built this community around the channel and all that, a lot of this information gets sent to me now. Hey, have you seen these glasses out of the Netherlands? And I'm like, no, I have not. And let me click and go to the website. And then the international thing. So I do a lot of international speaking, but there's also these AT conferences internationally. There's a huge one in Germany called Site City, and it's coming up in May. And everybody's always, are you going to Site City? You going to Site City? I'm like, oh, I don't think it's going to work out this year, but I do want to go maybe next year.
That's a lot of travel.
It is, and it's like no one's paying me to go, so it's all on my own dime, which is fine. But you have to, how it is when you run a business.
$1,500 flights.
Yeah, return on investment.
Yeah,
like, is it going to be worth it?
Absolutely.
So, things you got to think about.
When the time is right, it'll be right.
Are we going to Germany?
I mean, I would love to. I just got over my fear of flying last week, so.
I counted it up. Last year, I was on 54 airplanes.
54 airplanes.
Yeah.
So does your wife go with you?
Sometimes. So we're going to Foundation Fighting Blindness conference in Texas. She's going with me to Boston. I'm emceeing a race, a vision walk for the Carroll Center of the Blind. Shout out to them in Newton, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. They're awesome. So she's going with me to that. And then I'm going to London, England in November to speak at the Stargardt Connect conference. She's going with me for that because it's right around her birthday.
How many countries have you been to?
I've been to Prague. I did Australia. I did Iceland and Scotland last year.
Oh, wow.
I spoke at the Icelandic Association for the Blind. I've said this before. I'm not going to offend anybody, but I was being brought out to Iceland to speak. I really had no desire to go to Iceland other than, when the opportunity came up, I'm like, sure. But I've always wanted to go to Scotland. So we went to Scotland as well. But I think Scotland was great, but I think we actually enjoyed Iceland even more. It's just because it's so foreign, it's so alien of a landscape than anything we have here in the States.
Sounds amazing.
So many waterfalls and thermals and geysers, and the people were so nice, and the language is so bizarre that just makes it fun, and it's like, I don't even recognize some of those letters,
How long were you there for?
A full week. We stayed in Reykjavik the whole week. 2 of the days I was presenting.
How's the food there?
Really, really good if you like seafood.
I don't know if I could eat seafood every day for a week, but
or sheep. How do you feel about sheep?
Do they eat sheep out there?
Yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah, because cattle isn't really a thing because everything has to be brought in. There's no natural resources there other than rocks.
Really? You're not selling it right now, bro.
No, but it's so amazing. If you are an outdoorsy person, there's a spot where the two continents, I think North American continent and the Asian continent, hopefully I'm correct about that, but the continental divide is right there. And you can walk between the two continents and reach out and touch two continental shelves.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
A few more areas I just want to tap into real quick. You've gone through a bunch, right?
Yeah.
What are some advice that you have for maybe some younger folks?
Living with vision loss is literally just learning a skill. First of all, you have to have someone to show you how to do it. Unless you're born blind, nobody knows how to be blind, right? It's not something we're taught. Like I said, when I'm working with clients, usually they're older, so it's happening later in life. So they've lived this whole life one way, and all of a sudden now they're navigating these different waters. It's literally a skill. You learn it from someone else. It's like an apprenticeship. Once they teach you how to do it, it's just about practice and building those systems and being, repeatable systems that can mitigate all the daily frustrations. And then learning how to do these things differently. You want to read? Sure, we can work with that. You're not going to be sitting in a comfy chair next to the fire holding, a copy of Moby Dick and reading it, but you can definitely enjoy the story and maybe listening to it through an audiobook, and then you get the experience of having somebody perform the story in different voices and sometimes sound effects, and so it's even better. I've got a friend named Charlie Collins and a friend named Kristen Smedley. Kristen Smedley's she's got a TED Talk. She's amazing.
I've seen her. I've always wanted to meet her. I follow her on LinkedIn.
I was just at this conference in Virginia with her. I can introduce you. They have the Thriving Blind Academy, and they Charlie's whole philosophy is that blindness isn't a physical thing, it's a mental thing. Once you shift the way you think about it, doors open up and possibilities open up and the weight is lifted and life becomes easier. And then once it goes back to what we were talking about with acceptance and accepting that there's nothing wrong with you. Now, with that being said, that's easier said than done. And I realized that. And like I said, it took me a long time to get to that point too. And that's one of the things Kristen talks about in her TED Talk is that it isn't easy to get to that point, and that's perfectly normal. And everybody feels those feelings and has those emotions, and that's just a natural process and progression. You have to go through that to come out on the other side. And Kristen, in her TED Talk, she talks about when her son was born and she realized that all these plans that she had for her son all of a sudden weren't going to come to fruition because of this diagnosis. It took her to a dark place. And she has this line where she talks about how she moved in, she unpacked her bags, and that's where she lived for a long time. And we talk about it's okay to stop and stay for a little while, but you don't want to unpack your bags. You need to keep moving forward.
Not the funny thing about it, but I think that translates into every aspect of life.
Yeah. It's
and
nothing
it does.
new.
It's nothing. But that's the journey. That's the hard part. Like you can tell, like having kids, it's the same thing. You can tell them like, watch out for that pothole. But they're still going to walk in it, man. And it's there, and you don't want to, because selfishly, you don't want to deal with the pain of watching that other person get hurt.
Yeah.
And so, but that is the whole point.
It has to happen.
It has to happen, and you can't become, like you said earlier, you can't become the greatest version of yourself or this peace, instilled peace in your life and this gratitude and everything you have by not dealing with the hard shit. It took me 50 years to even truly begin to actually like myself. 50, man. And that's just recently. You got to deal with it. You got to work through it. And it's hard, man. It's really hard. But the other side is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It really is. I hope everybody gets to feel that. Whether we have a blindness or not, or any disability or not, every human being feels insecure about something. To take a visual impairment or disability, it makes it 100 times worse as a child. So to be able to come through and recognize that and work through that, that's incredible, man. Like, and that's what we all have to do.
Yeah.
How do you hope your work inspires others to live their best life?
I just hope it does. I see the comments, I get the emails, I meet the people at the conferences, and it's so rewarding to hear that the videos have helped people deal with some of these things and teaching them, ways to cope and ways to manage and the systems and all of that. People always ask, what's the future of the blind life and where do you want to go from here? And it's just more of that. I hope it reaches more people. That's the goal. I still run into people who's like, no, I've never heard of you. And it's like, then I need to work harder.
That's fantastic, especially with assistive tech, especially with AI, especially with the tools today. Like, it feels to me there's like an entirely new world of people out there ready to live. Do you feel that as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the best time in history to be visually impaired because of assistive technology, because of, accessibility and more companies doing the inclusion. Well, I'm not going to get into, the current state of all of that, but there's a lot of hope.
Inclusion is not a bad word, by the way. I don't care what anybody says.
No,
it's not a bad word, and
no.
that's ridiculous.
I know. I agree with you.
So, and I'll say it: inclusion. It matters, man. Forget about all the nonsense that culture created for us here and made a word a bad word.
Yeah.
to be including someone or belonging and make that a negative. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and to shut it down.
Yeah, shut it down. And we have to listen to that nonsense. Give me a break.
I'm with you.
Inclusion matters, and I think it's super important. And it's not in a way of culturally driving divisiveness. It's about bringing us together, and they've used a word that matters, and they've turned it into a negative, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, inequality.
Yep.
And
It's ridiculous. When we started Ablr, I remember DEI was everything, right? And regardless of what it meant and stood for, and all the things and all the drama and all the politics, at the end of the day, it became a business, and it was what it was. And I remember saying to John, like, why are we not included in this? This is crazy. Like, you've got all these other populations where at the end of the day, we're all people. So let's stop separating ourselves in these categories. We're just humans. But all of a sudden, the blind community, the disabled community is on the outside looking into DEI, right? So, and it was frustrating because we were trying to build this business, and it was like, why is this community, which by the way, stretches across the entire spectrum of humanity.
Largest minority group in the world.
Exactly. And yet this group can't be involved in all this other nonsense. And so to me, that was a part that really frustrated me in that whole thing. And then we finally were like, and people were like, well, we'll make it belonging, or it'll DEI plus A. And it's like, nonsense, right? And I'm being a little over the top serious about it, but I also have a voice, and I like to share it too when I get a chance to. But we finally get involved, finally get the invite to the party. What happens? The election, and it's eliminated. And what happens? Now we're associated with DEI. So for 5 years, all we wanted to be was included. And then finally we're included, and now it's bad to be included. And now we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater again. Yeah. It was the most difficult year of our business. I mean, for me, it was very difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was just such an important thing, because now all that is gone and people care now. And when you find people that care, and you find people that want to do things that matter, and like you, and like everyone in this room, it changes the game for everybody.
Also because of the companies that are still, like we've talked about earlier, Sony, making these products for everyone. And they realize that their products should be for everyone, and everyone should have equal access to those products. So I'm really excited about stuff like that.
Where do you see yourself and, down the road?
Yeah, I mean, continuing to build the channel up. I'm not at the top. I want to be at the top. I want to be.
Competitive. You're competitive.
I am. I am at the top in a lot of things, but not in everything. And my wife is always like, I have nice cameras, and I have microphones, and I have, nice lights and everything, and I have a nice backdrop in my studio. And she's like, not just her, but I've heard other people, why do you care about that? You're making videos for blind people. And I was like, because I'm not satisfied unless it's the best that I can make it.
I love that.
And I just need to keep on making it the best that I can.
And you are, man. And I will say, we went on your podcast, and
it was a lot of fun.
45 people reached out to us because they're like interested in what we do.
Oh, good.
And they're like, wow, there's an opportunity here for me to go back to school, me to get educated, for me to be it's crazy, man. So
nice.
A personal thank you for that. Like, I had no expectations of anything, and it was just so nice to connect with the community. It's so your channel is authentic, man. And there's a lot of channels out there that aren't, right?
Yeah.
But yours is authentic, and it's really actually changing lives. And it's beautiful because people are coming to us now because they heard us talk on your show, and we can genuinely help them. And it's so rewarding. So heart gratitude. Thank you, man. I'm honored to meet you. I'm so glad you were here. I mean it sincerely. If you need some support this afternoon, let me know. If you want to meet up, I know you're going to meet up with Heather, but you're doing great work. We are thrilled to be a partner of yours, outside of my little bit of a diatribe, but thrilled to be a partner of yours, and excited to see where we go next together. And man, thank you for being here. I mean, I'm truly honored.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Access Granted. Sam's story shows that accessibility isn't just about tools and devices. It's about people, innovation, and the courage to share knowledge and lift others up. At Ablr, we believe in creating opportunities where everyone can thrive. And Sam's work reminds us how impactful accessible technology and advocacy can be. We hope his story inspires you to think differently about what's possible when expertise, experience, and passion come together to empower others.